All right, I'm going to make spaghetti sauce. This is a recipe that was taught to me by a roommate of mine by the name of Gene Galuccio 49 years ago when we were based at Keesler Air Force Base in Mississippi. I've modified it to somewhat, but basically it's his recipe. I'm going to make enough for 6 quarts, and that seems to work for us well because we can freeze some of it and the rest of it we'll eat. I like to start out with a lot of garlic. You take a shot down here and you can see how much garlic I've got. And I'm going to dice this up very fine, and then I like to use 2 large onions, and I'll dice these up real fine. Put them in the saucepan, olive oil, and then we'll simmer those. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting chopping up the garlic. You want to get these chopped up real fine. That's about right. Okay, now we do the onions. We'll get it. The particular knife that I'm using is the best kind. Okay. And it pretty much takes care of the onion. Looks like a lot, but it works out good for 6 quarts. Now you put quite a bit of olive oil in here. Matter of fact, some people think it's a tremendous amount, but it's not really. You get it. I don't measure anything, you know. I just put it in here like this and get it good, and that's about right. And we'll put this on medium heat and then stir it frequently, and after about a half an hour they'll start to get golden brown, and you don't want to burn them. You want to get them just before they start to really turn any golden brown. It'll take about a half an hour. And I just stir that up. You can see how much olive oil is in there with the onions. We're going to add 6 tomato sauce to 3 tomato paste, and then I'm going to add the spices in here, the oregano, salt and pepper, and parsley flakes. And then we'll stir this up and let it get comfortable with each other. What I'm doing here right now is just getting all the tomato sauce out of the can, and then later on we'll add more water to it, but right now this is just to clean the cans. Don't want to waste anything. You can get most of it out this way. And let's take a knife and mix this out of there. Okay, now we're going to add the spices, salt, and I don't know what you're going to, but this you'll get an idea. You got 2 of these. That's the salt. Pepper. I like a lot of pepper. Two of those. Oregano. Big on oregano. This is a key ingredient for spaghetti sauce. That's about all right. And then parsley flakes. Not too many of these, about About that, that's about all. And that's all the spices. Then I'll stir this all up and let it sit. And near the end, we'll combine everything. After I stir this up, then I'm going to start cooking the beef. This is important to make sure you keep stirring this. And watch the temperature. Right now it's on medium, and I'll probably turn it down a little bit when it gets a little bit more cooked. But, now I'm gonna do the meat. I use salt, pepper, and butter. I've got this is about 2 3/4 pounds of meat. I won't use all this, but I'll use about 2 1/4 pounds. I'll get this about medium-high on the heat. Then I just sort of chuck in pieces here. Nothing fancy. I used to make meatballs, but that's too much trouble. I like it better this way. Breaks down better in the sauce. This is a nice big frying pan to do this with. I season this with a little salt and pepper. And I'll brown that, and after it's good and browned, I'll pour it into the big pot. I want to drain the water off of this so that when we end up finished with the meat, it's dry. So we do this a couple times. Okay. And this goes back on until we get that all nice and brown. And I'll drain the fluids off of that one more time. While that second batch of beef is in the pan, the mushrooms, you have to wash them real well, get the dirt off, and then I cut them in half about like this. And it'll take two frying pans to cook all the mushrooms up. And you have to make sure you drain the water off of these just like you did the beef. Then we add that all together with the...
Go.
The onions are about done on. This is what they should look like. And I'm going to pour this in with the meat and the mushrooms. And remember when you're cooking the mushrooms to drain them real well. Now I'm stirring in all the meat, the onions and the mushrooms. Now I'm going to pour in the sauce. We're at the final stage now. And after I stir the sauce in, I'll add some water. Add a little water. And this will make a full 6 quarts. Now, we'll put this on the stove and let it simmer for several hours, and it's actually better to eat the next day.